overnight, Russian strikes hitting central and western Ukraine. Multiple casualties reported and satellite images appearing to show that stalled Russian convoy now moving forward. Joining us now is retired Brigadier General, gubernatorial candidate in New Mexico, Greg Zanetti. Greg, thank you so much, sir, for coming on today. You know, the Ukrainian forces, they do continue to fight back at this time, though. In your estimation, how long can this last?
Well, it could go on for a very long time. I mean, clearly, Putin is convinced he can win this war, and we've brought basically every monetary weapon we have against him, and he is still there. So now this can go on for a long time, and you're right, the Ukrainian people are extremely strong and determined, but I believe Putin is too.
Yeah. His troops advance forward, the Ukrainian fighters still pushing back. At the same time, though, we have seen civilian losses during the war. That's prompted Utah Senator Mitt Romney to say he doesn't get why the Biden administration won't send in those MiG fighter jets into Ukraine. Let's listen to Senator Romney together.
It's time for him to be fearful of what we might do. The only way to get Putin to act in a way that may be able to save lives of Ukrainians is if he fears us more than we fear him. And the truth of the matter is that his military is exposed in Ukraine, bogged down, unfed, without fuel. They're in a very precarious position.
Should MiG fighter jets be on the table?
Well, the concern is how much do you want to escalate this? And what has changed since the Cold War versus now is the Russians do have hypersonic missiles, and those are very real. And I think everyone understands we don't want this escalated to that level. And so if we get to that level where we start engaging one-on-one, the chances of this spinning out of control ramp up very quickly.
The Ukrainian Defense Secretary is now saying that Vladimir Putin has fired as many as 8 generals over Moscow's military losses during the invasion. How significant might that be? Again, that decision that there could be some unrest within the Russian forces.
Now, I think that's very significant. Right? Something big is going on here internally, and this is clearly not going the way he thought it would or as quickly as he thought it would. At the same time, it's hard to imagine him reversing this right away. There's an awful lot at stake for him, and what he is doing is he is still continuing the advance, and it maybe have slowed down, but it's difficult for me to see him retreating immediately out of this right now. He's too far in.
The fact that he does continue to advance now in central and western Ukraine even, does that imply that his intent is to go beyond Ukraine's border in any sense, but possibly even entering NATO territory?
I think the way he's viewing it is a little bit different than the way we are. I think he had 3 objectives here. I think he, yes, wanted to take the land of Ukraine for its wealth. He wanted the wheat, he wanted the coal, he wanted all of the rare earth elements that were there. I think that was part 1. I think he wanted to drive a wedge between us and NATO, and we have seen Germany at times be squishy on this. And the other thing I think he wanted to do, I think he wanted to go after our currency. He saw what happened in Afghanistan, that when we fell in such an awful way last August, what happened with the dollar was we started to see it getting dumped on the world stage, and our Federal Reserve intervening to mop up those dollars. And he remembered what happened back in the early 80s when we crushed the ruble, and he was a young KGB officer. And he said, you know, if we can make America look weak like they looked in Afghanistan, we could hurt their currency. So again, I think there's a whole lot going on here that makes it very difficult for him to retreat out of this.
The national average of gas right now is $4.33 a gallon. I'm sure that's impacting residents in New Mexico. What would be your advice to the Biden administration to lower that cost?
Well, you have to open the pipelines. We have to start drilling. We have to become energy independent. I mean, it's one of the reasons I'm running for governor out here is I think New Mexico is uniquely positioned to help the United States. We not only have oil and gas, we have uranium, we have lithium, we have 4 of the 17 rare earth elements. These are all things that America is going to need. And so yes, I would advise him right here, right now, to open up our resources and let's become more independent in all of these areas. Yes.
All right. How can people find out more about your campaign, sir?
It's kind of you to ask. ZanettiForGovernor.com.
All right. We appreciate you coming on the show. We'll keep an eye
It was a pleasure.
on the race.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Greg Zanetti. We appreciate it.